Alright guys, so Tronsmart has decided to release a budget pair of active noise cancelling earbuds, but the impressive thing here is not only did they keep the price down, they still offer some pretty impressive specs. And the pair that we're going to check out today is the Tronsmart Onyx Apex. Now as far as the pricing goes, it does come in retailing at $70, but Tronsmart actually has them on their site right now where you can pick them up for $50. And you'll see what I'm talking about for $50, the features that they've included and the fact that it has active noise canceling and also a very dynamic sound using 10mm drivers just makes this an overall impressive package, especially because of that price. Now to start with, as far as some of the technology that's in these, they are using Bluetooth 5.2, but on top of that, they are using a Qualcomm 3040 chip. Now that is one of those chips that gives you better performance, but it's not trying to tax your battery life as much as some of the other ones. And as far as the Bluetooth codecs, it has aptX adaptive, aptX, AAC, and SBC. And having aptX adaptive is just very impressive to be able to get on a pair that's $50 because that is a feature that is allowing the earbuds to do a lot behind the scenes. It's just constantly trying to adjust or adapt to the connection that you have so that it's making sure that you're getting the best sound no matter what kind of situation that you're in. And as far as using these outdoors, surprisingly, on top of having water protection, they also have dust protection as well because these come in rated at IP45. So if you're looking for a pair to use outdoors or at the gym, you're going to be fine if they get rained on, if they get splashed on, if you happen to just drop them in the dirt or they have dust just flying around, even if you happen to sweat heavily. All of that stuff they're going to be fine against, but this is still one of those pairs that you do not want to submerge into water. Now, as far as the noise canceling on this pair, because of the price range, you do kind of have to curb your expectations a little bit because of that $50 price tag or even the $70 price tag, because you technically could get 5 pairs of these for still under the cost of 1 pair of the Sonys or 1 pair of the Bose. And I would say that these block out probably 65% of what the Sony and the Bose are blocking out. So it does a good job with like air conditioner units and lower rumbling tones. But if you're using them in an environment where there's a lot of people talking, a lot of that is still going to come through pretty clearly. But because the ear tips are doing a good job of passive noise canceling, it's already blocking out a decent amount of sound before you're even using the noise canceling at all. Now with this pair, you can also switch over into an ambient mode, and I think this pair does an excellent job when it comes to that. I felt like I was able to hear my surroundings and it sounded fairly natural. You can tell that it does have a slight digital sound because it is actually using microphones to pick up a lot of the stuff around you. But if somebody comes up to talk to you, you can carry on a conversation and not have to pull the earbuds out, and everything just sounds very clear. Now, as far as what all they've included inside the box, it does come with the usual small, medium, and large silicone ear tips, which you can see here. And I had no issues with getting a good seal with these. In fact, they have kind of a wider size on the ear tips themselves, which also cause these to have a very good seal. And as far as the charging cable they've included, it does come with a USB-C cable, and you will have to use this cable because the case on these is not a Qi wireless charging case. And at this price range, considering what all you are getting for the $50, I can kind of look past the fact that there's no Qi wireless charging. Now, speaking of the charging, battery life on these could have been a little bit better because you're only going to get around 5 hours on the earbuds themselves, but with the charging case, you're going to get around 24 hours total. So I do like the battery life you're getting out of the case, but only getting 5 hours on the earbuds is not going to make a lot of people happy. But if you do happen to pick your earbuds up and they are dead, it does have a fast charge feature where a 10-minute charge will get you an hour's worth of use. So that definitely can help, especially considering how short the battery life is on the earbuds. Now moving over to looking at the case itself, as far as the size goes, it's about the size of an AirPods Pro case. Now it is a matte black finish, which does pick up fingerprints very easily. On the back, you can see the USB-C input for charging. And then around on the front, it has 4 indicator lights. That way you can kind of gauge how much battery life is left on the case. And as far as the case itself, it feels pretty solid, so I don't see any issues there. Now moving over to looking at the earbuds themselves, as far as the design goes, it does have the shorter stem like the AirPods Pros, so it doesn't look as obnoxious as some of the other earbuds that have a stem. I don't like the fact that it is a glossy design because you're going to be touching your earbuds and it's going to be picking up fingerprints. So I wish they would have kept a matte finish like they did with the case. Now this pair does use touch controls, and I'm happy to say that it gives you control over everything. So you have your play, pause, you can skip your tracks forward, you can go backwards, you can control your volume, you can also switch between noise canceling on, noise canceling off, and then you can also switch it into your ambient mode. And it's just very convenient to be able to have all of this on the earbuds because it doesn't require an app to switch any of this around, and you don't have to actually pull out your phone to be able to control these. So I am happy to see that they included that on these earbuds. Now for you guys that do like to use your earbuds independently, you'll be happy to know that you can use either the left or the right. And then as far as the microphones on here for using them for phone calls, each earbud does have 2 mics on it, and it's also using the CVC 8.0 technology, and I was very impressed with the mic quality coming out of these earbuds. I felt like it just picked up my voice very well. I also felt like it blocked out a lot of my surroundings, but you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here.
All right, guys, so here is a mic test using the Onyx Apex, and I'm actually surprised at how well it picks up my voice. Now, it does pick up quite a bit of bass tone, so it does sound a little bit boomy, but this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here's the mic test with the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public.
So now let's talk about the sound. The sound on these are very aggressive and they're very loud. And this is actually a sound signature that I like. And one thing about this pair too is it does not work with Tronsmart's app. So you don't have the ability to switch between different EQ options or just try to tune it yourself with a custom EQ. So you are stuck with that sound just out of the box. And again, it was a sound signature that I liked because they didn't hold back when it came to the bass. They allowed it to hit and just be very punchy and aggressive. They didn't allow it to get too sloppy though. I didn't feel like it affected my mids and highs. And that's mainly because you can tell the treble they also tuned up quite a bit as well. And they did that on purpose to try to counterbalance that very punchy bass. So essentially what you're getting is thick bass and a very bright treble that doesn't get close to being harsh. And I was kind of surprised by that because I was expecting some sibilant sounds with cymbals or S's and things like that. But it stayed very clean. It didn't get harsh. So it had a really nice balance to that very punchy bass. Now, as far as the mids go, as great as I think vocalists sounded on these, I will say at times, depending on what you're listening to, you might have wanted the mids to be bumped up another notch or two. It never gets to where like vocalists or guitars or anything gets lost in the mix, but the bass and the treble are so aggressive that you would just want maybe the vocalist to step a little bit more forward. I didn't have any issues with hearing anything as far as mids goes, but I think if you're going to tune everything else up, you probably want to push the mids up just slightly more so that it balances out a little bit better. Now, as far as the soundstage and the sound imaging, this is not one of those very open sounding pair of earbuds. It really does sound like you have 2 very large speakers in front of you, so don't expect that really open sound. But surprisingly, I still didn't have any issues with being able to tell where instruments were coming from. Again, it just doesn't sound like they're as spread out as other earbuds. So the sound is in your face, the sound is aggressive, so do keep that in mind. And then outside of that, really the only cons that I have with this pair is I do still wish that it had Qi wireless charging, and I also think that the dynamic tuning that these have may not be for everybody. And the fact that it doesn't work with Tronsmart's app means really you can't do anything about it unless you just use a third-party app to EQ these. But I think for the price, the $50 or even the regular $70, this is a no-brainer. I think the sound is fantastic if you're looking for a dynamic sounding earbud. It has a lot of the characteristics of the Soundcore Liberty 2 Pros. It just, again, has that brighter sound and that really aggressive bass, which I'm a huge fan of. So this is easily a pair that I can recommend without hesitation, unless you're just somebody wanting a flat, non-dynamic sound signature. But guys, that's my video on the Tronsmart Onyx Apex. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.